Yeah. And your name is Catherine? Mhm. Awesome. Have you come before? Oh, okay, awesome. Okay. Oh, look, people are already starting to come in. You stop my for a second. Hello, hello. We're going to be getting started here shortly. How are you doing today, Amy? Can you hear me okay?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
Okay, awesome. I'm doing great, thank you. We're still well, but some people will be virtual.
Yeah, this is live as well, right, today?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
This is my first time ever joining you ladies. I'm excited.
Oh, awesome. That's super awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't get myself cleaned up and over there in time, so.
No, it's okay.
There we go.
Getting some more people joining. Hello, hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Doing great. I'm trying to get you guys or get us set up here on the TV. And typically we start by, we usually wait a little bit for people to, because traffic, all of that, when we have our in-person. So we usually just talk amongst ourselves and, get to network a little bit more. So just bear with me.
How do you pronounce your name? Is it Shaen? Shaen?
Shaen.
Shaen? Yeah. So many spellings of Shaen. I love it. Thank you.
Do you have a full house over there, Yasha?
No, not yet. We usually have like a lot of, since it's kind of like midday, people are coming in a little later. That's why I never start on time at 1 and just kind of let everyone get situated. But we have a few people here.
So you're there live also, Yasha?
Yes, ma'am. I thought I'd make it kind of interactive a little bit for, people that want to network in person and also if they're not able to be here, join via Zoom.
Wonderful.
Oh, we got some more people. I was like, I'm going to get this airplay down. Oh my gosh.
Yasha, are you talking to us? Because you're on mute.
Well, this is our first time doing this virtually, so sorry for all the technical complications, but we're super happy that Shaen is able to meet with us today. She is coming in from Texas, or with us via Texas, and I have allowed you to be able to have all the host controls, Shaen, so you could just take it over whenever you're ready to get started. You don't have to stand up, you can stand. I just wanted to get that going. I'm just gonna leave this up here so we can ask questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything on your end, Shaen?
Yeah, let me see how to share my screen. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let me know when you guys can see the screen. Cool.
Yep, we see it.
All right, awesome. Let's see if I can minimize this a little bit. You guys can see yourself on the side here too. This is my first time using Zoom, so I'm like, okay, let's see how this all works. All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you, Yasha, so much for inviting me to this InvestHER meeting. I'm super excited to share with you guys flipping in Texas. And my name is Shaen Baldie. And we can go ahead and get started. So a little about me. I was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. After graduating, I went off to Tallahassee, Florida to matriculate through Florida A&M University's College of Pharmacy, where I obtained my Doctor of Pharmacy degree. And I would say all throughout college, I had like this passion for real estate. And I was like that friend in college that would help my friends out when it was time to like find their apartments. I would do all the research, go on the tours. Like that was just my thing. So naturally, once I graduated from pharmacy school, I accepted a position with CVS Pharmacy back in Jacksonville. And shortly after, I obtained my real estate license in Florida. So later on, I met my husband in college. We were dating in college. And after we both were living in Jacksonville for a while, he was working at Walgreens and I was working at CVS. We both kind of felt like we wanted to get out of the retail space. So we had this desire to move to Dallas. And I had some experiences in Dallas from when I was a kid. I have family there. I used to visit a lot, really loved the city, the atmosphere, loved the homes. And being that I had family there, we had some medical connections and we were both able to interview for a hospital here in Dallas, Parkland Hospital. And we both were able to get the job. And 3 months after we got married in 2014, we moved to Dallas. And of course, once we arrived here, I was licensed in real estate in Texas. And about 9 months after we moved to Dallas, we purchased our first home. And the first home that we purchased, we call that like our little baby, like our baby renovation. It was a 1959 ranch style home that needed a lot of work. And we went in and did a lot of cosmetic updates to the flooring, the paint, cabinets, kitchen, countertops, appliances, everything that you can imagine. And that was like our first little introduction to doing any type of renovation. I was able to collect a lot of different contacts from doing that. And that's what kind of spearheaded my desire to want to flip homes. We lived in that house for about 2 years and we sold it and we made about $40,000 after the renovation. So that is my first introduction to that. So in this presentation, I just want to go over, I wanted to break down as much as possible steps to flipping. And I narrowed it down to 6 steps and some of them are kind of consolidated, but During this presentation, I'm basically going to go over the 6 steps that I use to flip. And at the end, after I go over each one individually, I will take you from beginning to end of a flip that I completed here in Dallas not too long ago. So we'll go over mentorship and education, then building the team, then analyzing deals, then submitting offers, and then inspections and rehab, and finally staging and listing. So let's get started. All right, so first we have mentorship and education. So the first step being mentorship, I feel like this is the biggest thing. This is the most important thing before you even get started with flipping or doing any type of investment, is to link up with a like-minded mentor that can basically guide you through the process of, what to do to even get into this type of investing. So I would say examples of mentorship are attending this investor presentation that we have going on right now, signing up for an investor's course where they provide like question and answer opportunities. Linking up with the local investor is great. Someone that you can speak to on a daily basis and potentially shadow would be great. Also, I want to keep it as simple as possible. Following your favorite Instagram flipper, just following what they're doing, taking note, just being a part of the process is something really easy to do. And I just feel like linking up with those like-minded people, even if you guys are on the same level, you're just beginning, is just a great way to get started. I'll never forget having lunch with Yasha not too long ago, and us just like bouncing investment ideas off of each other and how motivating that was and inspirational that was. So I just feel like just linking up with a like-minded mentor is the first thing you want to do. And of course, after that, educate yourself as much as possible. Reading is fundamental. Any type of book that you can get your hands on that's related to investing. I do have some examples of some of my favorite books. One being the BRRRR book, which I'm sure some of you have heard of, Buy, Rehab, Rent, Refinance, Repeat by David Green. I also love the book of rental property investing by Brandon Turner, and the book on flipping houses by Jay Scott. So those are just a few that I like, that I've read before. And honestly, if you don't like reading, download Audible. Audible is amazing. You can listen to the book while you're driving, while you're working. Just any way to suck in that information as much as possible is great. They have podcasts that you can listen to. One of my favorite podcasts being Bigger Pockets, where they bring in a new person on the show every day, and they talk about their investment strategy in their current market. So those are super informative. So I would say that is the first step to getting started with flipping. All right, so the next step is going to be building a team. So once you've gotten your mentor and you've done all of your preliminary research and education, but before you want to just dive right into it, let's go ahead and build your team up. I know I put realtor first because I'm a realtor, so naturally I'm going to put me first, but you may not start with the realtor. If you're not able to pay cash for these potential investment properties, you might want to start with a hard money lender. You might want to find out exactly what can you afford to do, what can you afford to borrow to complete a flip or an investment. And a hard money lender is a person, or it can be a private company, that they provide short-term loans, and they'll use the property as collateral on the loan. And it's normally a shorter loan, less than a year, higher interest rates, but it is one of the quickest ways to get started with flipping. So that's definitely someone you want to have on your team. And once you're fully aware of what you can afford for your first flip, you can then connect with your realtor to find potential properties on the MLS. And if you're looking for off-market properties, then you might want to connect with a wholesaler. And a wholesaler is someone who puts a seller's home under contract and finds an interested investor to buy it. So they're kind of like the middleman. They do the heavy lifting, they do the door knocking, the cold calling, trying to find those potential properties that would be perfect for investors like us to come in and fix. So having a wholesaler on your team is great. Another person would be a general contractor, someone great to have in your back pocket, someone that you can bring with you to property showings to give you an estimated rehab cost quickly. Normally from just walking through the property, they can kind of give you an idea of a lot of things. Let you know if it's going to be super expensive to do this or what things you might run into when you're in the flipping process. So general contractors are great. And I'd say finally, the inspector is great to have for before and after you purchase. And the reason an inspector is so good to me is because here in Texas, one of the things that I like to check out before I even think about purchasing a home is the big three. And the big three here in Texas are roof, HVAC, and foundation. So here in Texas, we have tons of hail storms that can damage a roof. We have 100+ degree weather. So if an HVAC is not functioning, that is a major problem. And a lot of the homes here are built on clay soil. So it causes a lot of foundation issues. Certain areas here in the Dallas DFW Metroplex do have horrible foundation issues, especially if they were built in the 60s and 70s. So those are the big three. So just having an inspector that can come in and quickly let you know if these are going to be major deal breakers, that is super important. All right. So we got our team together. We got our realtor, we got our wholesaler sending us properties constantly all day. Now what do we do? So it's time to really dive into those deals that we're getting through those emails. Your realtor essentially will be able to assist you with finding comparables in the area, just to let you know, what is the potential value of the property once you're ready to sell it or rent it. Also, your wholesalers, a lot of wholesalers will actually send out a property analysis report when they send you these potential properties. So they'll show you rental comps as well as sold comps that will help you to be able to analyze the deal. But I'll say when you're analyzing a deal, one of the most important things is just being cognizant of your exit strategy. So not every deal that comes through is going to be a flip. It might be a home that maybe the sold comps aren't there. Like homes that sold in the area are just not there, but the rental values are amazing. So this might be the perfect BRRRR, what I talked about earlier. And that's another topic for another conversation. We're going to kind of stick to flipping today, but maybe it's a good BRRRR. Maybe it's in a thriving walkable area in the city and it might work as an Airbnb. So basically, when you're going in and looking at these, analyzing these deals, just make sure you have an exit plan that works, the numbers work, and just always have a profit in mind. So you want to always take into account the purchase price, the rehab price, the holding costs, for 6 months. And you never know how long the deal and how long the renovation is going to take. And once you kind of have that number in mind, add to that what your profit you would like to make. So is that 30,000? Is that 50,000? Is it 100,000? Whatever that final number is that you want to make sure those comps make sense. Make sure those comps can relate to that number, and make sure that it's worth your time. Maybe making $5,000 on a flip that takes you 6 months is not worth it. So, just make sure you're studying and really analyzing those deals properly. And finally, after I've said to thoroughly analyze, avoid analysis paralysis. So if you really know what you're doing with your numbers and you have done it a few times, and I always tell people who ask for advice on how to analyze deals, get your calculator, whatever you use, even if it's not a deal that you're gonna go for, just practice working the deal out yourself. Just do the math on the deal, run the comps on the deal, even though you might not buy it, just so you can know, hey, if I did decide to buy this will be a good deal, and I feel like the more that you practice at analyzing these deals, the better you get, the faster you get, so that once you're really ready, if something comes that is amazing, that you really want to jump on, you're able to analyze it quickly and not psych yourself out because, the numbers aren't doing what you want them to do. So I'd say practice makes perfect, and just avoid analysis paralysis as much as possible. Okay, so with submitting your offers, there are 3 different ways that you could potentially submit offers. So basically you run your numbers, you found the perfect property, and now it's time to submit it. Now, if you are working with a realtor with the property that's on the MLS, the realtor will essentially draft that offer for you. You'll talk with them and you guys can decide together what you want to do. When it comes to the off-market properties with a wholesaler, there's 2 different ways that the deals come. There are first come, first serve, and there are showings. And with the showings, with both of these, you will get analysis report. With the showings, you generally have a time that all the investors can come and see the property. So say that's from 1 to 3 p.m. Everyone can come and see the property. This is when you can bring your general contractor to walk through the house with you. You can bring your inspector to check out a few things. And generally after that showing, you have an hour to submit your offer. So bids after showings are normally highest and best will win the bid on a showing. And if it is a first come, first serve, that will come to your email. You'll get the analysis report, you'll get the address, you'll get photos. And basically the first person that sends in their deposit, depending on the price of the property, it can range from $5,000 to $10,000. But basically the first person that comes and sends their deposit, they're able to obtain the listing without having to bid and go against anyone. But it's one of those things where you do have to be quick with your analyzing to even take advantage of a first come, first serve. So one of the benefits of being a realtor, of course, is that I am able to analyze the deals pretty quickly. I have access to the MLS to run comps. So, keep that good realtor in your back pocket that can help you with that. And I also have a good idea of the neighborhoods and their value propositions. Oh, went backwards. Sorry about that. All right. We're getting to the fun part. Okay, so. Uh-oh. Sorry about that, guys. Let me put my phone on do not disturb. Okay. All right, so congratulations. Your offer was accepted. Now it's time for closing, inspections, and rehab. So if you grabbed one of those wholesaler showings or those properties that were on the MLS through your realtor, you probably already had a chance to get in there and have your inspector check the big 3. You probably had a chance for your contractor to get out there and give you a quote. But, if not, that's fine too, but now is the time. So get those inspectors, get those general contractors ready and out there before you close, so that once you do close, you're really able to get the ball rolling. It's time to bust out those spreadsheets, calculate those rehab costs. And if you are not new to flipping or rehabbing or renovating, don't be afraid to be your own general contractor. Basically, being your own general contractor means that you're in charge of coordinating your workers, whether that's your plumber or your painter or your carpenter. You're in charge of them. And if it's a simple cosmetic flip and you have your team where you have your guys that can do certain things, it could be easy to be your own general contractor. I've seen in this business, I've seen a lot of contractors that do a little bit of everything. So you might have a painter who has a plumber brother, who is a carpenter, who does framing, who happens to check, who happens to work on roofs and do foundations. So if you can find, when you're building your team, and you can find people like that, keep them close, because that will make things a lot easier. And now if this is an extensive rehab, that requires you to tear down walls, reroute gas lines, water lines, things like that, then sometimes going with the general contractor is more beneficial, just in case that there are things that are required, like city inspections and permits that you might not be familiar with. Then, that's something that you might want to have managed by a general contractor, just to make sure everything is done pretty much up to code. But, essentially, this is the fun part, get hands-on. Don't be afraid to take on simple projects that on your own. And once I go over my flip later on, I'll share the one thing that I do in all of my flips on my own. It's one of my little added touches that I like to do. So I'll share that with you guys later. Okay, so the renovation is complete and you're ready to get this home ready for the market. First things first, stage. So staging is key. And just to throw out some stats for you guys, staged homes sell 88% faster and for 20% more. So why even not stage the home? But honestly, buyers like to envision themselves in a home. And it's really hard to do that when you're just looking at floors and walls. It's staging, it takes out the guesswork. If you have an awkward living room, you can stage it in a way that makes it appealing for buyers so that they're not distracted by how awkward the living room is. I've seen tons of homes like this where you're like, in our day and age, we want a family room where we can mount our TV. But, it might be a home where mounting a TV might not work. So when you get in there and you do staging and you set up the couches to where they're facing each other and, your decor works for the space, people often forget about where their TV needs to go. So I would say staging is crucial. You want to put full-size beds in the rooms so that they can really see how much space they have in the room, make it look move-in ready. And I know I've done a great job at staging when the offers come in and they ask me if they'll leave the furniture. Like, that's when I know that I have really done my part and I'm, staged to perfection. So, after you're staging, you want to make sure that you are working with a competent realtor to go ahead and list your property. So as far as picking a realtor, it could be someone you've worked with before. It could be someone that specializes in flips, or simply it could be someone that specializes in the area where your particular flip is located. Any way that you can get a competent realtor, interview several if you need to, get someone that's going to have your best interest in mind. But as a realtor and as an investor, I'm going to say, please be open to your realtor's advice. This is their profession. They are the market experts. And the last thing you want to do is overprice your home and it just sits. I've seen some situations where people do a flip and they get really, really attached to it. And they put in all of these luxury items that cost so much money. And, they become very attached to the property. And as a result, they have this high price tag that they want to put on it just because of all of the love and care that they put in their flip. And that price may not work for the market. So, really listen to your realtor, find a realtor that you can communicate with well. And once you guys have come to an agreement on the list price, it's time to get it to market and have your open houses. One of the biggest things that I will say about putting your home on the market is to make sure your home is clean at all times, put in air fresheners, stop by frequently to make sure there are no bugs or debris that have come into the home. Buyers can really tell if a seller has taken care of the home, and the little things can make a huge difference. You walk into a home and it has a strange smell that can turn off everything for that particular buyer about the home. So you just want to make sure that you are really taking your time and keeping it clean and just taking care of the project as a whole. So I will say that is step 6. That does complete the 6 steps in flipping. And now we are going to get into our example. So let me show this. So here's a walkthrough of the property 3011 Grayson Drive that I'm going to go over with you guys in a second. So quick walkthrough. We have this kitchen here, which is has several walls that I had a plan for. We have the master bedroom here in the back with ensuite bath. And this was kind of like a patio area, which also doubled as the laundry room. And that's the secondary bath. We had original hardwood floors in this home, and we had 2 guest bedrooms. So very nice home. Very nice layout already. All right. So let's start from the top. I want to take you guys through each step. So for step 1, mentorship. So before I even got started with flipping at all, I linked up with a mentor. But, of course, I read the books, like I told you guys. I listened to Bigger Pockets constantly. But once I linked up with a mentor, that's when I really kind of hit the ground running. My mentor her name is Deborah Douglas. She was a fellow realtor at my brokerage, Fathom Realty in Dallas. And she was a team leader at the time. And she posted a lot about her investment properties and her rehabs. And I found out that she offered mentorship, and it required a 6-month commitment, but the price of it was super reasonable. And I just felt like I'm going to give it a shot, just see what she can do for me and see if we can kind of collaborate. So, I signed up for her mentorship, and we immediately hopped on a Zoom and started chatting. So she walked me through several of her properties that she had flipped and burred. Her primary strategy was burring, and her goal was basically to have a plethora of investment properties. But one thing I loved about the things she would do is she always maximized profits. So if it was a 1-bathroom home, she was going to find a way to add a second bathroom. If it only had 2 bedrooms, she was going to try her best to cut off a living space to make it a 3-bedroom, just to make it a more functional home. She provided me with a couple of hard money lenders. She provided me her contractors, which, essentially takes me right over to building a team. So I used her hard money lender. He was amazing. And I called him, gave him my income information, and he instantly approved me for up to $350,000 to purchase that includes the rehab and the purchase price. I had already been in contact with the wholesaler. The one that I used was New Western. It's one local here in Dallas. I do think that they are around the country, but that is the one that I used. And I also already had a few of my reno contractors. And after using some of Deba's, I decided just to be my own general contractor. I was like, I think I can do this. And if it gets really hard, I will just, link up with Deba and see if she can assist me. I also had an inspector that I had worked with previously on some real estate deals. And we were good friends. And he said, I let him know I was going to be doing investments. And he said, hey, for my investors, I offer a package where I will inspect your big 3 for $50 each. Anytime, any place, he would come out and do that for me. So I added him to my team as well. So if I ever felt the time to need him, I could call him at any time. So, I had my team together. So now I just needed to find the property. All right. So my new Western contact would send me emails all day. And I would analyze like a crazy person. I would check the address, the price, just to see if it was even worth my time. You know, if it was too far away, like an hour away, I didn't want to really deal with that. If the price, you know, now that I had my approval, I tried to stick to a certain price. And there were a few showings that I took the time to work through and submitted offers for. But like I said earlier, those were huge bidding wars. And I have won a bidding war in the past with a previous flip, but this particular deal was actually a first come, first serve. So I got the email, and as soon as I saw it, I liked the price, I liked the location, I started analyzing like super fast. So I liked the location because it was about 5 minutes away from my husband's job. So I was super familiar with the area, and being close to his job made it convenient just in case I needed him to stop by and drop something off, or, you know, meet someone there after work. That made it really convenient because it was about 30 minutes from my house, and just him being close for work was really good. So the purchase price was $179,000, and it was listed as a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. So I looked up my own comps. I reviewed the comps that were provided by the wholesaler in the analysis report. And I also did some comps of my own. The rental comps weren't very good, so I knew this wouldn't be a good BRRRR. But when I checked the sold comps, 2 prominent comps popped up. And the first one was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath that sold for $264,900. Now, this house had been renovated very, very nicely. But the street that it was on, it was a really nice street. It was a street that had several other flips on it. So it was like a more developed area. And then I found another one that was a block away that was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath that sold for $243,500. And just based on the pictures, they did kind of like a minor cosmetic upgrade, nothing crazy. They just brought it up to the times. So those 2 comps made me feel pretty confident that this had a good spread. Based on the square footage, 1143 square feet, I guesstimated about $25,000 without even seeing the property. So I immediately called my new Western contact and let him know I was interested. He said all I needed to provide was $5,000 to lock in the property, and it would be mine. And, you know, I told him, I was like, I'm a little nervous, you know, to lock this down. I haven't seen it. And he understood, and he let me know he had actually visited the property, and he took some videos. So he sent me over the videos. He told me the house was actually a 3-bedroom, 2-bath and not a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, which was huge. It had the original hardwood in it, and it was built on a pier beam foundation, which in Texas is amazing because that makes any type of foundation repair super simple over a slab foundation. He also said the roof was in good shape, and he let me know that the HVAC was functioning, even though it was extremely old. So, okay, I'm like, okay, great. You've already kind of hit those big 3 for me. This makes me feel a little bit better. Let's lock it down. So I put my deposit in, and you know, it was mine. I want to see you guys. I like seeing you guys. Okay. All right. So I had my deposit down on the property, and generally the hard money lenders take about 14 days, 7 to 14 days to close. This one did take a little longer. There were some title issues, so it took about 20 days. So I had plenty of time to get out there, get my contractors out there, get my inspector out there, just to figure out what we were going to do. And before we closed, I got into the property. I saw exactly what I purchased. And one of the things I noticed, which you might have noticed when you watched the initial video, was that the kitchen was a closed off room right off of the dining room and living room. So I instantly was like, if I can open up this wall, this would be an amazing open concept floor plan. So I actually found this super cool app. It's called Magic Plan. And I went into the house and I scanned all of the rooms. It did the sizing, it did the walls, lengths, widths, heights, all of that. And I put where all the walls were. So this left picture is what it was, and the right picture is essentially what I wanted to do to the property. So I wanted to tear that wall completely out and build this large island and just make this really cool open space. So you'll notice on the plan here that I do have some things missing. So the secondary bathroom is right here. I didn't include that just because I wasn't making any changes. And then up here was the master bedroom and bath, which I also wasn't making any changes to. So just to make the floor plan simple, I left it as is. So let's get started. Okay, can you guys see this? Okay, can you see this budget over here? All right, perfect. Okay. So I had a preliminary budget based on things that I had done before, because it's, like I said, this wasn't my first flip. So I had done things like put in brand new cabinets. I had hired painters. I put in flooring. I've done appliances before. But one thing I had never done was torn down a wall. So this was a little frightening for me, but I had one of Deba's contacts that she gave me was a framer, and he was a GC. So I had him come out and quote me on it just to make sure that I was doing everything up to code. That was the wall. The wall we were tearing down was the wall where the gas line and the water line was for the refrigerator. So, some things are going to be rerouted. So I just wanted to make sure that they were done correctly. So he was able to quote me for the wall tear down and the rerouting of everything. Another thing I decided to do was the HVAC. So the HVAC was working properly, but it was very old. And I just wanted to give these Texas buyers some peace of mind. So I decided to go ahead and budget for putting in a new HVAC. And here in Texas, when you're doing a flip, like a brand new HVAC is a huge selling point. So I just felt like it was worth it. Now, if this would have been a rental flip, I think I probably would have left the HVAC as is, just let it run its course. And when it came time, replace it. But since this was a flip, I just felt like that was going to be worth it to do. So I got all my quotes back and I felt like I had my budget on lock, $33,000. Granted, this was over my initial guesstimate, but I just felt like tearing down that wall would add great value to this property, something that you didn't see commonly in the flips in the area. So I felt pretty confident in doing that. So how things have changed so dramatically. So our final rehab cost. So the entire rehab took about 4.5 weeks. The wall tear down turned out great. There were some additional costs that did come up when dealing with moving that gas and water that I wasn't quoted for initially. Also, a novice mistake that I made was that the wall tear down did not include drywall. So of course the wall was torn down, but I had a big hole in the ceiling and they were like, oh yeah, we put the framing up, and it's like, oh, you aren't going to put the wall back up, the drywall. So I had to hire my painters to come in and, re-drywall the roof and things like that. So that was an added expense. There are a few things regarding the plumbing and electrical that weren't up to code that I had to get fixed last minute. The home also had a detached garage, and that detached garage just had a manual opener. So one of the things last minute I decided to add was an automatic garage door opener. I could have left it, without it, but, I just felt like that was a good upgrade. I'm a super stickler for curb appeal. I've learned this from some of my previous flips. This is the first impression on the home. So my painter was like, hey, let's just repaint the trim. I think it'll brighten it up and make it really stand out, not look like an older home. So went with him on that. And it also, the front porch of the home was elevated about 3 to 4 feet, and it didn't have a railing around it. So one of the last minute things I decided to do just to bring it to life was I added a wood framed fence around the porch. So that was an additional expense. Completely forgot to include haul off trash in my initial quote guesstimate. So that was something that was thrown in there. But, so essentially, it was a couple things that were added in, but as you can see, some things actually I saved a lot on. So I actually went with a more affordable company to do my cabinets as well as my countertops. I decided not to do a backsplash. I just left it as is, a painted wall, which actually turned out nice, especially with staging, because once again, the staging, they didn't even notice that there wasn't a backsplash. But the biggest save was on the flooring. So initially, I was going to refinish the original hardwood that you guys saw, but there were so many damaged areas that it was just going to cost way too much to repair. And so I just decided to do a really nice wood look luxury laminate on top of all of the hardwood. And that saved me a ton of money. So overall, as you can see, I came out under budget by $29. So I was feeling pretty successful. Well, not completely successful yet. I got to get it sold, but I was feeling pretty good about it. All right. So I went with a staging company to really make the home look move-in ready, and they did an amazing job. I was super, super happy with it. So I will now show you guys some footage of the home. Now, wait. Well, yeah, I'll go ahead and show you. See if this plays. Okay. Uh-oh, come on, there you go. It's not gonna work for me, but you guys get the picture. So you'll see that wall that was removed, which is basically right here. And my nice big island. And you see my staging. You didn't even notice there wasn't a backsplash in there, did you guys? So we did only do staging in that master bedroom area. So these are those secondary bedrooms. And this was that patio, backyard. And this is that final floor plan of the home once we were done with everything. So I listed the home myself. With me being a realtor, I listed it myself, and I landed on a price of $249,000. The comps did support a little bit higher than that, but I really wanted to drive in as much traffic as I could and wanted to get it under contract quickly. So I did an open house that first weekend. We had about 10 families that came through. It was very successful. I will say this home is in an area of Oak Cliff, South Dallas. So it is a very transitioning neighborhood. So being the price was $250, you got a lot of first-time home buyers that weren't familiar with the area. So once they got there, they kind of were skeptical because it's still a transitioning area. So I did get a lot of that, but I also got a lot of people who actually lived in the area that were looking for a bigger home. So a lot of activity. And by that Monday after I listed, I received an offer for $262,000. And so after it was all said and done, after $33,000 in rehab, holding costs and closing costs of about $10,000. I did pay the realtor commission of $8,000. I made a total of $32,000 on this flip, and it took about 2 months. So that is 3011 Grayson. I'm super proud of her. She did me well. And now I will open it up for question and answers. But you got to come off mute first.
This was awesome. Can you go over like what fees would be if I'm listing it and I'm not a realtor though?
Yes,
'Cause
so
you
yes, absolutely. Thank you for that question. So generally you would be paying as the seller 6%. You would pay 3% of the purchase price to the buyer's agent and 3% of the purchase price to the seller's agent. So in this case, I was the seller's agent, so I took $8,000 for myself and I paid the buyer's agent $8,000. And actually the person who purchased the property was actually a realtor as well.
Thanks.
How did you come up with your budget?
My renovation budget.
Yes.
So I try to base my reno budget on the square footage. So just from past experience, anything under 1,500 square feet, I'll say about 20 to 25,000, just depending on how extensive the rehab will be. Anything between 1,500 to 2,500 square feet, I would bump that up to 30 to 35,000. And anything over 2,500 square feet can get a little crazy. So that anything over 2,500 square feet, I always get a contractor out there to really give me the number. But I've just based that on experience and knowing kind of what the cost per square foot for flooring is, what the cost per square foot is for painting and things like that, what the cost of appliances are and things like that. So that's kind of how I come up with my number. And just based on some of the research I've done, I've seen kind of the common theme with them basing it on the square footage.
Awesome. Did you negotiate with some of the contractors? Is that how you got some of the prices down?
Oh
Or-
yeah, I negotiate like a crazy person. So I'm like super thrifty. And if someone can do it for a better price, I'm gonna go with that other someone. Now it depends on the what kind of work I'm trying to get done. So certain things you want to go with a more quality person. And that's how I felt with the wall tear down. I didn't want to skip any steps with that. I wanted to go with someone who had done it before. So that I was not doing a whole lot of negotiation with, but when it comes to the countertops, the flooring, yes, I am negotiating with the contractors constantly.
And how many properties have you flipped?
4.
Awesome. How long have you been doing it?
So that first one, my first baby flip, that was in 2015.
Okay. You ladies have any questions?
What are
What do
some
you-
of your favorite sources for materials?
So it really depends. Everything I've done has changed. So when it comes to flooring, I found a company here in Dallas that I like that's pretty affordable. I can't think of the name of them right now. I have to look it up and send it to you, Yasha, so you can share it. But I found a company here for that. I do a lot of research for my appliances. I go to those big box stores that have discounted appliances that might have a dent on the side or something like that. That's how I find my my stoves and my microwaves and things like that. And let's see. I think that's the only thing that I really, and I just use Home Depot and Lowe's for simple things like fans and light fixtures and things like that. I just buy a lot of stuff try to get as much stuff on sale.
Can I ask what you're estimating per square foot for both flooring and then also for paint?
Ooh, okay. So my flooring, it used to be for labor. It used to be $1.50 for labor, but that has gone up. So now it's about $2.50, and then you have to include the price of the flooring itself.
Yeah, do you know what you're paying for flooring estimate?
Let's see. For flooring or for paint?
No, well, let's stick with flooring and then Curious.
Yeah, so flooring, so with this one, with the square footage being 1,100 square feet, I basically did about an average of $4, that including the cost of the laminate itself and the labor.
And that was regular,
So,
rent, not
mhm.
the right?
Yeah, regular laminate,
It
tile,
looks
yes.
beautiful. It really looks beautiful. I
Yes,
love the
thank you.
countertop too, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, the countertop was a good find as well. Very affordable. I try to stick to level 1 granite in all of my flips. A lot of times it's very, it has a lot of motion in it, but if you can find this, oh man, I wish I knew the name of it. It's the one that is commonly used. It's a level 1 granite that people commonly use that isn't very busy. And it looks really good in flips.
Do you have a per square foot estimate for Pete?
No, not that I can think of off of the top of my head.
Okay.
I wish, let me see if I can go back and see. I can probably guesstimate based on what I budgeted here. Let's see. So I have paint 3,700. Okay, so I basically doubled the price of the square footage for the interior.
Really great. Enjoyed this.
Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys, my one little thing that I'm doing on my flips is my husband and I go in and we install hardware on all our cabinets. We just like that added little touch, which you can kind of see here.
I have another question. With the way that the market is shifting across the country, how are you shifting to prepare for your next flip?
Finding that team that you already have locked in place. So one of the things that helped me was that my painter essentially went up in price, but I used him in my home in 2015. So I'm like, this is our price that we agreed on. And, I try to keep them down as much as possible without trying to go up with inflation and things like that. And keeping them busy as well. So, refer them out to a lot of my real estate clients, like if they need paint work or anything like that. So he knows that I'm going to provide him business. So just taking care of your contractors really is how you can kind of stabilize, shopping around for like the best interest rate when it comes to your hard money lenders. And now I'm seeing, which I want to take advantage of on my next flip, I'm now seeing hard money lenders that are really giving you 100%. Like, I feel like in my situation, I think this lender gave me like 90% based on the LTV of the property. But there are lenders out there that are doing 100%. So when you're closing, you're not really bringing a lot to the table at all, if very minimal closing costs. So I think that's one way to help yourself out, to keeping more money in your pocket.
You're trying to
Yeah,
still
who
make.
is that?
Yeah, I was like, who's
Lender?
giving out? Yeah, who's giving out that type of money? I was like,
Yeah, it exists. I have spoken to one. It's actually one that Deba provided for me. So I will reach out to her again to get, his information, see if he's still doing that. But yeah, she let me know about him. So I was like, as soon as I'm ready to go, I'm going to call him.
Okay. That's awesome.
I
Now,
have a question.
sorry.
Oh,
Go
okay,
ahead.
Yash.
no, go ahead. I already asked the question.
Okay. No, I was just gonna say, with homes sitting on the market a little bit longer, with the shift happening because of more inventory, do you have kind of like a backup plan if you have to continue to pay the mortgage, how it kind of pulls away from your profit?
Yeah, so that's why the exit strategy is important. I feel like while things are kind of shifting, we're seeing an increase in the rental market. So this house in particular was done in 2021 at a time when the prices were kind of going up a little bit. But I'll say if I would have waited until this year to potentially put the house on the market, it would have gone, at the beginning of this year, it would have gone way faster. But while we're seeing this increase in interest rates, we're also seeing this increase in rentals. So if I still own this home, the rental values in that area have greatly increased. So if you run into an issue where you say, maybe flipping isn't right, at this time, maybe it is best to do a BRRRR or, see what the rental comps look like. That is what's happening. Because of course, these people who can't afford to buy, they have to rent. And essentially these landlords are taking advantage of that and, bumping up these rental rates.
Thank you.
Mhm.
since
Oh, wait, go ahead. Go ahead. You can ask your question.
Okay, I have a question based on what you just said about turning it into a rental. With the hard money lender, how would that work? Would you still pay the hard money lender monthly, or like, how does that work? Or they want like it all in one lump sum? Because you didn't.
Yeah, so that is essentially where that BRRRR method comes in. So after you rent, rehab, and you get that renter in there, you refinance immediately. So that at that point, you have to find traditional financing to refinance the property. And that new company that you refinance with will give you a lower interest rate, of course, than what you have with the hard money lender. And that's where you will get the money to pay that hard money lender off, and you will pay your monthly mortgage like normal.
Gotcha.
What if you're not able to refinance out?
Whew,
Hit her
that's
with the
dangerous. That is dangerous territory, but it happens. No, well, now you will be, if worst case scenario, you will be able to extend that hard money loan. I've seen that plenty of times. It's just not recommended, of course, because that interest rate is so high.
Okay.
I want to say my interest rate for my hard money was 14 or 15%.
Wow.
So, you're not going to want to carry that if you don't have to. So whatever you can do, and that's what goes into, finding those properties at the right value, so that your loan to value, that ARV, that's the word, so that your ARV really makes sense. So that,
What if you look at a property and you want it to be one strategy, but it may not work? How do you approach that?
You just really have to be ready to shift. I did a flip before, that initially we wanted it to be a rental. And we found this rental comp that was amazing. And it was like a sole rental comp by itself, nothing else in the neighborhood related to it. But because of that one rental comp, it's like, oh yes, let's rent this out. And once we really got into it, we realized like that wasn't a valid rental comp. We're going to have to go ahead and flip this. So it did change the budget. It was one of those things where, you go into a rental and you don't generally do as much. You don't, like I said, we talked about the HVAC. A lot of times you might change the flooring, but you're not putting in brand new appliances. You're kind of budgeting yourself a little bit better when it comes to a rental. So what it required us to do was to shift into making this more of something that people want to buy. So that meant that, okay, we do need to paint these cabinets, and we need to put in brand new countertops instead of leaving this laminate, because the laminate was in good shape, but laminate isn't selling like you would want it to. So that was one thing we just had to adjust and put it on the market to sell. And it worked out.
As a realtor, what are you seeing in the current market? I haven't been paying attention, kind of just getting back into this. Is it still way down, or what do you expect?
Oh, no. There is still not a lot of inventory. So sellers are still doing well. Like if you're in the market, potentially wanting to flip, don't be afraid, because there is still limited inventory. So people are still out here looking for homes. Yes, I think there has been a shift to not as many bidding wars, but I just feel like as long as the home is priced appropriately and staged correctly, you're not going to have a problem getting your home sold in this market, just because there is limited inventory.
I don't have any other questions on this side.
She gonna leave her phone?
Do you have a slide with all of your contact info?
Oh yeah, are you on social media?
Yes, she
I
is.
am on social media, at Shaen Sells Dallas. So Shaen is spelled SHAEN and then Sells Dallas. But no, Yasha, I did not make a cute little slide with my contact. I just made this cute one with my picture on it.
I don't know if anyone else here has like a second or like a primary occupation if you're not like primarily in real estate. How do you recommend someone that's looking to get started, go about getting started if, real estate's not their primary and they have like a primary occupation, like another
Where do
job?
you find the time?
Yeah, where do you find the time?
Oh,
You
go
know,
right.
all
There.
that.
Yeah. So I am a full-time pharmacist. I work from home right now, and I'm home now. I'm kind of taking a break from work to do this presentation. So it does require a commitment. But as I said, in my About Me, I have been so passionate about real estate for so long that I just make the time to do it. I think one of the biggest things for me was getting a work from home job. Just having this work from home job really allowed the flexibility for me to be able to do things like this, take phone calls during the day, take a break to do showings if I need to, analyze those deals when they come in. I will say it was very difficult when I was working at the hospital. Granted, the good thing about when we transitioned from retail pharmacy into hospital pharmacy, it became a regular 9 to 5. So it was 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. You have your evenings, you have your weekends. So when you're a realtor and you have clients, essentially those are the prime times that you're helping your clients, is in the evenings and on the weekends. So that really helps. So if you're in that position, you have a good chance of being able to dive in. But I will say once I transitioned into working from home, that just provided more of a flexibility. So anybody that wants to get in it, just go for it. Like, even if it's not something that you can do 24/7, just, put as much downtime as you can towards that business. And if you're passionate enough about it, you can make it happen. Now, as far as doing this as an investor, not being a realtor, just strictly being an investor with a full-time job, it's completely doable. Doing a reno doesn't require you to be sitting at the home and watching over it 24/7. And if you feel like you want that, then that's when a general contractor comes in that handles it for you. So really, if you want to invest with a full-time job, you just need to have the money, or the hard money lender, and the knowledge to be able to analyze those deals quickly and get out there. You only need an hour one day to go and check out a property if you need to. And after that, you can go check it out on the weekend. You can stop by in the evening times. Like, I think it's completely possible for you to get into investing while still having a full-time job.
That's awesome.
Okay, question, asking for a friend. Would you, okay, let's say, would you priority wise buy a house first for a primary home, or capitalize on the market and do a flip?
Great question. So in this current market, well, let's back up. If I was to do it all over again, when I moved here to Dallas in 2014, instead of buying this 1959 ranch, I would have purchased a townhome or a condo, something that could be renovated in the city. Something small, maybe a 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, something simple that was inexpensive, because prices were fairly inexpensive in 2014. I would have purchased something and I would have stayed in it for the 2 years, just like we did our first house, renovated it, did whatever, and I would have rented it out. I would have moved out and rented it out. That is a strategy that I always think back. I mean, I'm grateful for the path that I took because it got me here, of course. But looking back, I really wish I would have taken advantage and started out living in a property of my own that I still owned. So I can't say that any of the homes that I've lived in, we're in the process of building our 4th home here in Dallas. None of the homes that I've had previously, I still own. I sold them all to move into the next house. So I think that is one thing I do, is definitely get a home where the mortgage is so minimal. You get in there for your 3 to 5% down, stay in it for a year or two, and make it a rental and move on to something else. Now, in this current moment, I really like the idea of the BRRRRs. So I really want to have more properties that are currently being rented out. I just feel like that is where the long game is. And I feel like flipping is a short game. So when you're flipping, I'd say use the idea of flipping if you're really just trying to get that money up quickly and you want to get that money so that you can put down on it a rental at some point. So if your idea is to make 30 to 20 to 40K on a flip, set that money aside each time you complete a flip so that you can be building up money to essentially buy a rental cash or something like that you don't have a mortgage on. So I think that is the primary goal right now, is just to get a rental property. I know that was like a long
No, it makes sense.
answer.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm. But yeah, Yasha has me on here talking about flips because I just feel like flips are fun, right? They're super fun. You can make them like your own and design them and stage them. So flipping is great too.
Another question. I'm very over analytical. So based on what you just said with that 30 something grand, that's what you made on the example you showed us on your flip. So you take that 30 something grand and put that into the next one. So technically you didn't net profit on that one because you're going to use it for the next flip. I mean, or are you getting that money from the hard money lender to help with the renovations? Yeah.
Yeah. So it depends on what your strategy is. So with that particular house, I did not put a lot of my own money into it. So that 32K became my essential profit overall. Yeah, because so yeah, that's the key with the hard money is like, if you do the ARV correctly, you're not really bringing much to the table when you close. And when you do close, like when I got that 262,000, they paid off the loan that I had. I think the loan balance was like 174, something like that, because I did put 5,000 down. They pay all of that off. They pay off your buyer's agent, and then that rest of that money just comes directly to me. So because I didn't have all this money tied up in it, that money was mine. Now, when I say gathering that money as much as you can, I say that on a rental standpoint, because sometimes people like to buy rentals and put down 18 to 20%. A lot of times you need to, but not always. It depends on if it's something that needs to be rehabbed. But if it needs to be rehabbed, I think you're in a similar situation of what I did with the flip. You can do the same thing. Hard money. Find this person that'll give you 95 to 100% of the ARV to go into the property so that you don't have to come out of your pocket. I hope that made sense.
It did. Does anyone else have any questions? Any more questions? No? Okay.
Yeah, I could ask about it.
I know she's.
I'm like, how did you go from FAMU to Texas to a pharmacist to decide to flip a house?
Yeah,
That's a whole
you can ask. I got time. Let's see. FAMU. I went from FAMU to. I used to come to Dallas all the time as a kid. I have an aunt and uncle who live here. I used to visit all the time, and my aunt and uncle live in this amazing home in North Dallas. And this is the home I visited when I came. And I mean, when I say amazing, it's like round driveway, porte cochere, just beautiful landscaping, backyard pool, just amazing. So as a 12-year-old, I'm like, well, I want to move to Dallas because that's where they have these houses, not having any idea of what that would truly cost. But that was kind of my first introduction to Dallas. And Jacksonville is a big city, but just not with a lot to do. So when I would come to visit Dallas, we would go to Cowboys games, we would go to Dallas Mavericks games, we would go downtown and shop and do things. So it just was a fun, yeah, it was a great city. And I think
these properties emailed to you, do you ever get them for like the state of Florida, or you're just getting them?
No, my wholesaler is strictly Dallas. But Yasha, have you heard of New Western?
No, but I'm definitely gonna reach out to them because I may have a deal for them.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think they are worldwide or nationwide.
Okay.
Yeah, but my particular person is Dallas Fort Worth specific.
Okay. And just to give you guys a little background, so Shaen knew me back in my young days, and I was still selling shoes at Foot Locker, one of those, related stores. And that's how we crossed paths the first time. And I started there back in, I don't know what, 2009. So she's seen me grow up a little bit over the years. And within the last couple of years, we reconnected when short-term rentals became a thing or was starting to become a thing. And, we just reconnected at that point, and we've just stayed in contact and, throw different ideas, ask, I like to ask, like, when I don't know something, I ask all the people I know who are doing something in the industry to that level or have experience. So like I said, she's even introduced me to Deba, and I have worked with Deba also to learn and gain mentorship. So I think that was one of my biggest takeaways, because I didn't realize how powerful that was until you said it, because I was like, oh my God, it really hit me, because I had an opportunity the other day and I said, man, I wish I had some more real estate buddies that I could call, so I'm like texting you, I text Deba, I text some other ladies that I know to ask, like, hey, do you know how to work this deal? And so I think that's so important. So if you guys don't follow Shaen, you need to, because she's just someone to have, to ask questions or anything like that, or, just connect. Hey, you might be interested in doing some out-of-state investing and not be so local here to Jacksonville.
So she buy the shoes.
Yes.
And she worked
That was-
also at, she also worked, that's how I met her. She also worked at Champs. Was it Champs or
Finish line.
Finish Line?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were
Back
all
in the day.
the same kind of family over there in Regency Mall. So
Rest in peace, Regency
I know,
Mall.
rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh,
They have a
well,
school
thank
in
you
it
so
right now.
much.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard. I saw that. It's crazy.
Well, thank you so much, Shaen, for speaking.
Shaen.
Yes, look, sorry, excuse me. Dr. Shaen, for taking the time to meet with us today. We really appreciate your insight and expertise and just all of your knowledge. So thanks for taking the time to meet with us today. We appreciate it.
I have
No
one.
problem.
Didn't say it real quick. Sorry.
Yeah.
How did you find your mentor?
Deba,
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you find?
through Fathom. So she is a realtor at my brokerage.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
Choose you, and Deba kills it too.
okay.
Deba will be here in January.
Oh, great. Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have her on the?
Oh, yeah, she's on the roster.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be here too, virtually or in person.
Yes. Well, thank you again. And we hope that you, or don't forget to send us that list or location or store that you wanted to share with us for like
Okay.
touring and stuff. And then I'll post that in the group.
Sounds good. It was nice talking to you guys.
Yes, thank
Thanks for
you.
having me.
Thank you. It was a pleasure
you.
meeting you all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.